Palazzo Montecitorio originated as an aristocratic residence in the mid-17th century. Construction began in 1653, when Pope Innocent X commissioned Gian-Lorenzo Bernini to design a palace for the Ludovisi family. Work stopped upon the Pope's death and resumed only in the 1690s under Innocent XIII with Carlo Fontana. The Innocentian Curia was inaugurated in 1696, marking the end of the first building phase. After Italian unification, the complex was assigned to the Chamber of Deputies. In 1871, a first provisional chamber was set up in the courtyard, and between the first and second decades of the 20th century, the architect Ernesto Basile designed the major expansion on the side facing Piazza del Parlamento, with the new chamber inaugurated on 20th of November 1918, and further works continuing into the 1920s. In this timeline, the time taken is not a single block but a stratification, roughly 1653-1655 for Bernini IS start and the interruption, 1690-1696 for Fontana's completion, 1871 for the provisional chamber, 1902-1918 for Basile's main works, with adjustments up to about 1927. The building is thus the product of successive phases rather than continuous construction. The materials used reflect the different eras. Bernini's historic facade, famous for its convexity, combines brick masonry with divisions, cornices, and rustication in travertine, giving the mass a typically Baroque sculptural character. Fontana reworked the entrance and added the bell gable, maintaining the stone vocabulary. On the opposite front, Basile's addition employs a contrasting fabric, travertine for the orders, cornices, and quoins, and red brick in the background fields, a choice that gave rise to the popular nickname croccante, almond brittle. Inside, the structures evolve with the times. The 1871 Comodo chamber introduced metal frames with wooden cladding. Basile's great chamber uses iron framing, large glazed surfaces, and a velarium that diffuses light from above. The language of materials thus marks the transition from 17th-century load-bearing masonry to the metal and glass integrations of the following centuries. The overall height of the palace is not reported uniformly by easily accessible institutional sources. Bernini's facade has 3 stories above ground, plus the crowning, while the 20th century wing develops more articulated towers and bodies. In the absence of a consolidated official figure, it is prudent not to give arbitrary numbers. In the urban context, the Montecitorio obelisk in front, about 29 meters high including base and globe, offers only a sense of scale, not a measurement of the building. As for the material used in a structural sense, the 17th and late 17th century portions are based on brick and stone masonry with traditional floors. Between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, metal structures, window frames, and roofs in iron and glass appear consistent with the techniques of the period. There are no public official data quantifying the cubic meters of concrete or the tons of metal used for the entire complex. Since reinforced concrete only truly becomes dominant in certain later 20th century architectures, Montecitorio remains a hybrid in which historic techniques are integrated with selective modern elements. In the absence of period quantity surveys, giving figures would be speculative. It is more accurate to note that iron is present in the chambers and luminous roofs, while load-bearing masonry remains the backbone of the original system. The style adopted reflects the succession of phases. The portions by Bernini and Fontana belong to Roman Baroque, recognizable in the concave facade, the 5-part articulation, and the vigorous play of cornices and shadows. Basile's intervention expresses Italian liberty, or better, an early 20th century eclecticism that blends modernist aims, medievalizing citations, and a strong focus on the integrated design of facades, furnishings, and details. The interior of the new chamber, with its velarium and large painted frieze, completes a representative and modern image of the parliamentary institution. The number of statues is documented on the front facing Piazza del Parlamento. Where the monumental entrance to Basile S wing opens, Flanking the portal are two allegorical travertine groups by Domenico Trentacoste, titled The Awakening of the Italian People and the Victory of the Italian People. These works were conceived to affirm, at the entrance to Parliament, civic protagonism and national identity, and they constitute the most evident external sculptural apparatus of the complex. The total number of windows in the palace is not publicly and uniformly stated. The historic facade presents a rigorous sequence of openings within the concave partitions, while the broad 20th-century wing multiplies stories and bays on several fronts in a building that exceeds 1,000 rooms. Without a comprehensive technical survey, it is impossible to provide a reliable total, and any approximate count would be misleading. In conclusion, Palazzo Montecitorio is an architectural organism grown in phases, begun in 1653, completed in a first configuration in 1696, adapted for parliamentary use from 1871, and redesigned by Basile up to the new chamber of 1918. Materials and styles recount the history of Rome and Italy from the Baroque age to institutional modernity, while certain technical magnitudes, overall height, quantities of concrete and metal, total number of windows, remain undocumented publicly and with certainty and should be treated with caution.